What's up, friends? Here's a little strength and conditioning hack. Here's a question I always ask myself when I'm doing strength and conditioning. What's going to fail me first? That helps me to understand, am I doing strength or am I doing conditioning? And do I think I'm doing one when I'm really doing the other? What's going to fail first is another way of thinking, what's the linchpin? And everything's going to have a linchpin, right? Even the Death Star had a linchpin. That was the destroyer of worlds, but there was a little piece of it that if you fucked with it, there it goes. So if I'm doing strength training, I want to think, what's failing me first? Is it my strength or is it part of my conditioning? So if I'm lifting and I fail to lift because my heart rate, my breath, like I just didn't have it in me, it's going to be a conditioning problem, not a strength problem. So I'm actually doing conditioning work when I think I'm doing strength training. How do I make it strength training? I get my conditioning back. How can I do that in that context? Maybe I rest a little longer rest period. I try that. Now, if I reattempt the lift and I hit it, boom, I knew I was right. I'm back to doing strength work. The same can be said about conditioning as well. So a lot of people like to do maybe HIIT or circuit training for their conditioning, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what can be wrong with it is a little ego lifting in there, grabbing certain weights that might be too heavy. So if I'm doing, let's say, a 4-exercise circuit and it's high reps, 15, 20, 25 reps, and I'm either not getting the full range of motion or not getting the full reps, the conditioning is not the limiting factor, it's my strength. So now I'm doing a little bit more strength training because that's where the stimulus is going as opposed to my conditioning where I want it to go, into my heart rate, and my circulatory system, respiratory system, all that good stuff. So how do I combat that? Lighten the weight, get the reps, get the full range of motion. And if it feels too easy, go faster. That's the point of conditioning anyways, right? If I'm trying to get that high intensity, it's not the intensity of the weight, it's the intensity of the heart. So that's a simple hack that I like to use. Just ask yourself that question. If you're failing at something when you're doing strength and conditioning, ask what's failing first. If it's conditioning and you're trying to do strength training, bigger rest periods will probably help. If it's a strength thing trying to do conditioning, lower the weight and then try it again. See what happens. But when you have intent, you can know how to fix the problem. When you know what you're doing, when you're thinking about what you're doing, you're able to solve problems.